Good morning. My name is Leo Carroll. I am the star of this show, and today we're going to be talking about what happened a while back when I was walking through the woods. I came across these people and they were cutting down a really healthy 100-year-old black walnut tree. That was like a dagger being driven through my heart, but they said that it looked like it was going to someday fall on the trail, and so their job was to cut it down. So they were also going to take this black walnut tree and throw it in the chipper. So that is, I have to put my foot down at some point. And they said they're not supposed to give it to people, but if during lunch it's missing, you know. So I quickly got my buddy in my pickup truck, and we were able to grab sections that had been cut into about 3-foot lengths and about that wide, which is really too much for one person to carry down on their own. So my buddy and I loaded about 10 of these things up in my truck, and off we went. So to this very day, I'm still living off of this wealth. So what we're going to do is build a coffee table out of this, and it's a fairly straightforward process. But first of all, I'd like to start by showing you how we've kind of evolved to this point with the things I've been building. So at this point, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to go over there and get that and come back. This is a little chair or a little seat I made, and it was from a piece of black walnut, as you can see. If you can envision it, the log went like this. I had a friend who had what's called a wood miser, and that is a bandsaw turned on its side so that you can take the wood and actually run it through and get dimensional lumber. So this is a good example. I took a piece of log that, you know, didn't have a lot of value, and then what I did is I planed it, I cut it, then planed it down, and then sanded it and put a finish on, and then I put a set of legs on. Now this type of wood is really nice because it's live edge, and it was cut at the time of the year where the bark doesn't fall off when it dries out in a house. So we have the bark, and then we have the growth wood, and then we have the heartwood. So it's a pretty straightforward little operation. Let me put this over here, and give me a second. I'm going to go and grab the other one I made here. And it's a slight variation on the theme. Now, let me get this down a little bit. So this is a nightstand table, and it is a little bit higher than this. This is 16 inches. Here we have 20-inch legs, and so again, it's a piece of black walnut. But this piece of black walnut, I actually had the exact center of the tree in it. It's called the pith, P-I-T-H, and you should always take that out when you're making cuts. Otherwise, it twists the wood and splits, and it doesn't work out. So I actually cut that out, and then I put in this curly maple. So that's what this piece is, curly maple. And so this is what you would have, like a nightstand next to your bed. You'd have that, and you have your cell phone and glasses or whatever you have there, and a battery charger, and that would be that. So the next thing we're going to build now is a little coffee table. And so I'm going to get these guys out of the way, and we're going to go on to the next step. Okay, so those are a couple of things we built out of these logs that I was talking about earlier, black walnut logs. But now I'm going to show you something that's going to be a little bit different. This is about 3 feet long, and it was a pretty big tree, as you can see. And so what I want to show you on this is how we make a couple of decisions on what to do. Again, the tree is growing like this, and as you can see, the bark on the outside, the growth wood, and then the heartwood. So once it's been taken down, I run it through a wood miser and cut it to about 1.5 inches thick. It's it's a big job, and when it comes out, it's pretty rough because the blade on a bandsaw has a little bit of wobble to it. So once you get it to close to the dimension you want, then you have to take the kerf marks from the blades out. And so what you do is you get yourself a plane, or that's what they used to do. You clamp this down and you just go across and get it as flat as you can using this plane. Now, during the process, you want to do a couple of things. One, you want to make sure you're keeping it flat and consistent. Not only that way, but also this way. And so I'm going to have to say I'm giving myself a pretty good mark on this. This is not bad at all. So this is the top and this is the bottom. So at this point, we can move on. Now, I did some of this with this, but to be honest with you, I decided I'm enjoying this this century, and I did a lot of it with this too. This is a battery-powered planer, and it can go to like a 1/64 of an inch, all the way up to 1/16 of an inch, and you go across and just take pieces off. But being sure the entire time that you're as flat as is reasonable. So that's where we are with this. Now, what I want to do is put a set of legs on it. So what we're going to do is flip it over, because this is the side where the legs are going to go. And so I have gotten myself a set of legs, and these things, I think we bought in a number of places. Sometimes these wood shop suppliers like Rockler or Woodcraft, they'll have them, or you can buy them on the internet, whatever you want to do. But so we've got this, and I'm going to cut into it, and we are going to get the legs out. Going to take a second here because I'm going to have to cut those. See what we got in the box here. Well, what we have is these two legs, pretty straightforward. They've got 5 holes in the top, as you can see right here, for screws to go in. And lo and behold, we even got the screws. So I have got zero room to complain here. Okay, so we got all the pieces we need. And now we're about ready to begin to measure where we are going to put the screw holes in. I want to also show on this one that we have got some little rubber legs here that are going to help us kindly in the end to have this perfectly flat. So we're going to do this something like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is position these legs and then mark out where we're going to actually put the screws in. So I think an overhang on a table of about 1 inch is sufficient. And so I've made give myself 1 inch here and also 1 inch there. Try it over here. Again, we're about 1 inch and about 1 inch here. And so it's ideal that you get these the same distance apart, or else when you look at the table they might be cocked off at an angle. So we got them positioned this way. Now positioning them in the center of the board. And so what we've got is a measure from about 3 inches from the end of this to where the bark begins, and then here again it is about 3 inches. I'm going to have to give myself a little bit more space over here. Yep, so that's fine. And again here we're going to say about 3 and about, let's go off a little bit more this way. Let's say 3.5 and yeah, about 3.5. That looks good. And again, let's Make sure that we're correct on this. And so there we are. This seems to be pretty well centered and pretty well positioned. So I'm going to get a pencil and I'm going to mark where we're going to have to put the screws in. And so what we're going to do is start with a pilot hole. And what you do on that is you make a hole that's a little bit thinner than the width of the screws. So what that allows you to do is get the screw started in, and then so when you actually screw it in, it expands to the point where it holds tight. Sometimes if you don't put the pilot hole in, you can actually split the wood, and you certainly don't want to do that. So now we have our screws, came with the kit, and we're going to open these guys up and put them down, and then move on to our next step, which is to actually drill the pilot holes. So the question is, what size drill do you want to use, and how deep do you want to make it? Well, I have this this kit of drill bits here, and so what I do, and I'm not sure it's 100% right, but it works, is I see how thick the holes are that these are in, and then I try to see if the screw itself will fit in. Now that there is tight, so I'm thinking a couple of sizes down from them is probably the size I want to use for my pilot hole. I'm going to say that's what I want to use. So we got that, and now we set this up, and we're going to open it up. So you spin it counterclockwise, you put your drill in, and then you spin it clockwise. This tightens up, and the trick here, counterclockwise. I had it exactly opposite. So spinning it counterclockwise, it grasps the drill, and you want to make sure that it grasps it correctly. So you'll always end up shooting like this. If it's going around like this, you've made a mistake, but in this case we seem to be right on. So I can move this out of the way, go to my old holes. Now, how deep do we want to make it? You don't want to come through the other side. That would really be a bad thing to do. So what I'm going to do, if you will give me one moment, I am going to put a little piece of tape on to show me how deep we want to make it. And it's just a piece for marking. So let's say we want to go about this deep. So we're going to measure the screw hole and put it right about there. So what we know is we don't want to go deeper than that. So number one, straight on if you can. Sometimes when you're doing things like this, depending upon your height, you might think it looks straight because it looks straight to you, but you're actually down here. So it's not straight. So it's good to bring something that'll help you be sure that you're making the drill hole straight. And this is a good thing to use. So off we go. Bang. Got that one done. Here's another one. Bang. Bang. I sound like that chef there from New Orleans. So I got this side down, and now I'm going to do the other side. Oh. Now this had loosened itself up somehow. You want to keep it tight, but you don't want to break your wrist in the process. So that one was a little too loose. Okay, here we go. Again. And again. Okay, so that's it. We are now set up to where we can mount these legs by drilling put the screws into the holes. So I'm going to set this up, and we're looking right down onto the holes we just drilled. And now we're going to start the screws in. And it's a fairly easy process once you've actually done your pilot hole. So we just get this, let's just do one at a time, get it started and see what happens. So you can do the whole thing by hand if you want, or I have got a little screwdriver head on the end of this, and you can do it this way. Oh, he's making it look easy, isn't he? Okay, so we do that, and we come back again and put the rest of these guys in. Yeah, this is a fairly straightforward process, but I got to tell you, there's all types of ways you can get in trouble on this, and one is not coming in straight on, and then another is rounding the heads off of these screws. So that's why I don't really like to use these drills, these electric drills, unless I have to. But for the sake of expediency here, well, we're going to try to do this. Well, that's not a good example. Okay, let me show you something. This is interesting. I have just got a slot head, which means it's only got one piece going across, but the screws can actually be used as a Phillips head, which is where you have the cross in the middle of it. So I'm going to take this blade out, which is a slot head on one end, flip it over, and it's Phillips head on the other end, and so that makes it so it grabs much better to start these. I hope that clears it up. I'm not sure it did, but we'll see. And what we're finding now is that I am too close on this to come in straight. So I'm going to have to get another stronger screwdriver and do it by hand. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Before we stopped last time, if you can come on to something 100% straight like this, this is an ideal situation. But here, because of the size of the head of this device, I can't get in quite exactly where I should be. I can get close, and here, because I didn't have it set up as straight as it should have been, I can't. So, why is that? Why is this happening? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of things. One, the head on this is the same as the head on a screwdriver. So in this particular case, we have the Phillips head as opposed to the slot heads. I am going to show you what I mean. Here we have a screwdriver, and it is a slot head, which is just a straight bar across. Now, this slot head fits into the slot at the top of the screw, and as you turn, it turns the screw in. Now, in this particular case, this is mostly for a slot head, but we also have a small X in it, and that is so that a Phillips head screwdriver can be used. And so we can go in like this, and in situations where it's hard to grab, this grabs even better. So I'm going to see if we can get this thing started this way and make it much better. Actually, I'm not on it 100%. Let me get a different size screwdriver and see if we can see how I'm pulling that out. Okay, this is good. This is really good. And if you want to be a purist on some of these things, I'm going to show you something here in a second that is truly astonishing. And that is, let me get 1 minute. So I just went over and grabbed some beeswax. When you're drilling into hardwood, it's hard. And so what you want to do is you want to maybe put some type of a lubricant on it. And that's what I use this beeswax for. If you put a little bit of this or soap, you know, like Ivy soap or just bar type of soap on these pieces, it helps out so much in drilling them in. So we'll see if that helps us out. I think it's going to, but we don't know until the job is done, do we? So that's going in pretty good, actually, much easier. And in fact, we're going to try to do this, making sure we're in. Bang. There we go, success. So I'm going to continue to do this with all 5 screws on this side, and then we're going to go to the other side. You know, I've been very fortunate in that I've been able to learn by making mistakes without getting hurt. But this thing of putting screws in can be so frustrating to people, especially today where you buy these kits that are made someplace else and the instructions aren't really good on them, and the quality of the heads on the screws is really poor. I don't know anybody, myself included, who hasn't been so frustrated by stripping the heads off of these things and then the screw isn't even able to turn. So it's worth it to take a little time when you're doing this, and if you find yourself making a mistake, take a deep breath, back off, and try to analyze what's causing the problem. So little things, just little things like this wax makes a pretty big difference on getting the job done correctly and fairly easily. So that's where we are. We're doing good. And this is just about done on one side. That's pretty darn good. So we've got the last one in, and 5 on each side. They're centered and they're solid. So I would say we are pretty much done at this time with our project. And what I will do in another video, or I've done in other videos, is I will show you how to finish this off. And now at this point, it's almost entirely sanding. And then if you're going to actually be sitting on something, or it's going to get a lot of wear, I tend to use some type of water-based top coat, and this one is a polyacrylic. It says it's durable, fast drying protection, and so I put 3 or 4 or 5 coats on these, and that's going to be good enough. If this were a cutting board or something that things were going to get cut up on, I would use a different type of finish, but that's not what we're doing here. We're just putting our rear ends down on this and trying not to wear it out too much. So that's it for today.